What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, you guys. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it. It's the 10th day of June today, and here we are at about $109,000. 8 hours, 31 minutes left in the day. We are slowly moving down a little bit, pulling back 1% on the day so far, and that's to be expected. You know, you had a nice little weekend rally, and then you had a pump yesterday, and all on some pretty low volume, right? None of the days, not even yesterday, was above average volume. It was about average volume. You can tell it's average volume. Let me just do this real quick, okay? So if you see here, you see how the histogram goes away, and now there's volume. That histogram is the average, okay? The average over 45 days. That's what I set it to. So like a month and a half, right? Over the last 45 periods, candle periods. So it's not just days, right? If I go here, it's also like on the 4-hour time frame. It's the last 45 there. Hold on, let me answer this real quick. Let's see. Hello. Yeah, it's a scam. Yeah, it's a scam. Okay, so just wanted to make sure I have a phone call that I am expecting, and I just wanted to see what that was. But anyways, let's see here. What were we doing? Right. So that's how we know that it was about average volume, and really none of these days that we've moved up had above average volume, except for the low. To be completely fair, but let's move past this. Okay. All I'm trying to say by the volume, the fact that the volume isn't sufficient, it could mean that we see a little bit of a retracement here before moving higher. And that's kind of what I'm expecting. Looking at the daily RSI, if today closes red, I'm not too concerned about it. I mean, sometimes we can dilly-dally up in this area and then still move higher. So I'm not too worried about that. Let's look at the 1-hour time frame, 15-minute time frame actually, and then we'll zoom out from there. Okay, so 15-minute time frame. So you're getting some volume coming in on the downside here. You got a nice little bit of volume taking you up here. That's good. No volume on this little pullback, but as you're breaking through this kind of phase consolidation, volumes coming through, that tells me we probably do go lower. Beyond that, you are moving up here, finding resistance at prior support. That also tells me you're going to go lower. And I want you guys to understand something real quick, because I know there's a lot of people who watch this channel for various reasons. You watch the channel because you want the price predictions for entertainment, and some of you watch it for education. You're trying to learn how to trade yourselves. Don't take everything that I say as like an absolute fact that needs to happen, right? Oh, the volume's increasing. That means we're going lower. Well, yes, but how much lower? You know, it doesn't mean we have to go too much lower. I mean, maybe not. And that's what you use a bunch of different tools to help kind of gear or generate a more accurate, hopefully, price prediction, right? Don't just use one thing or two things that you heard somebody say on YouTube that you've never experienced yourself and think that you know or that you have the experience to understand these things, right? Take it slow and don't overload it. You don't need a billion indicators, but don't just rely on one. If especially if you're beginning. If you're a veteran, maybe you can rely on like one or two. But I rely on, I guess, like 3 or 4 technically, because I'm looking at price action as an indicator, I'm looking at volume as an indicator, I'm looking at the RSI as an indicator, and I use the fibs as an indicator. And sometimes we pull out the MACD and the stochastics as well, but looking like you're going down. Again, volume coming in, you retraced, you back tested, prior support as resistance. That's two things right there. Volume coming in and back testing for resistance, price indicator and volume indicator suggesting we're going to go down, right? If we're looking at this on a 4-hour time frame, here's a point that I was making yesterday, or today, technically earlier today. For me, it's like the beginning of the day, but for Bitcoin, it's late in the day, right? High to low. Whenever you make a move like this, first off, this is unprecedented. You just moved all the way up here. That's not common, right? Most of the time, you do find resistance at the 618, 786. I can't tell you. It's probably like 10% of the time, maybe 15% of the time or less, that you just make a move straight up on any fib. I don't care what time frame it is. From a high to a low, you just move straight through, not finding resistance on anything. But you found resistance there? No, I don't think so. I mean, if you found resistance, this is what it would have looked like. This is what it would look like. You would have interacted with this. This is what it would have looked like, right? You haven't found resistance really on anything. You just slowly moving up until you picked up the pace here. You basically moved in a straight line all the way up to the 886, 786 area. I'm aware that this is not a straight line. I get it, but just basically, right? Whenever you make these kind of moves, these endeavors, I don't care what time frame you're on, typically, if you pull back in a short amount of time, this is kind of the rule, this is the conniption here, we're going to look for 2 different outcomes. Well, and there's a possible third outcome, but I'll go over that last, but I don't think that that's going to happen. The first outcome possibility is, and this, I'm not labeling it in order of like what's least likely to most likely or most likely to least likely. I'm just saying this is the first possible outcome. I would say it has just as much of a chance right now as the second outcome has. The first outcome is that we come down to the golden ratio, we find support here, and we move up at least down to there, which would be $107.4 thousand. So we will at least go down to $107.4 thousand. Thereabout. If we go down just below there, it's not a big deal. If we don't stop quite there, that's not a big deal, right? But something around there. If we go down to 106,000, that's okay. It's fine. If we break below the golden ratio, likely from the 886 area, and not a wick, a break, a close, right? Like this, I wouldn't constitute as a break of the 786. This candle is a break of the 786. Do you see what I'm saying? That's not. This is not a wick. That's not a break of the 0.5. That's a break of the 0.5 there, and we still went back down. And then you know what I mean. So don't worry about the wicks. If we break below the golden ratio at 107.4K, we likely will continue down to the 382. It's very common it's not common to do this part, but when you do this, if you break below the golden ratio, you do go here. So the first outcome potential possibility is finding support at the golden ratio and then moving up higher immediately. That'd probably happen by the end of today, or if not, certainly tomorrow. Or the second outcome, and I actually think this is the one we're going to see, is pulling back down to the 382. I would actually say that is probably the more possible outcome. The third outcome is that we go all the way through and we see a lower low, and that's possible too. I don't think it's going to happen. I think that's the least likely thing to happen at this point, but it can happen. You never know. That's a very deep retracement just to give it all back and all the way down, but it can happen, man. It can definitely happen depending. And Bitcoin, when it moves, man, it likes to fake people out. We've had moments like this where it'll break out to the upside and then it breaks back down. It's at the low ends of this range and then it still moves up. So don't fret either way. We could go from the 886 here all the way down to the 886 here from a low to a high, and that 886 is all the way down. I mean, like we could form some kind of a double bottom. I don't know though. If we went back down here, I would think that we break lower. I would think if we're back below 102K or probably even 103K, we probably would break lower. So let's hold 103K. I wouldn't want to see us even get below like 104,500. If we get below 104,500, I might start to flip bearish again. And that's totally acceptable. The reason why is because if we get down here, we found support here once, twice. I know I got a lot on the charts here, but 3 times, 4 times, 5 times in this area. There's no such thing as a triple, quadruple, quintuple bottom, right? It doesn't exist. You're going to break through, likely, if that happens. But again, I don't think that that's the likely outcome. I think the most likely outcome is you're probably going to find support around 104.6K, if not there, around 107.4K. We're on our way down there now. Again, to absolve us of going below 107.4K, all we have to do is let time play out. The longer that we stay up here, the less likely that we go down here. Or just find support off the golden ratio, which it looks like you're on your way to achieve right now. 15-minute time frame looks bearish, rejecting the 50 on the RSI, looking like you want to get oversold. Volumes coming in as we're going lower. It makes sense that we go lower. The 1 hour time frame here looks absurdly bullish, actually. Very, very bullish. You're actually in an area to expect a bounce. However, I think we did, right? That's what we already did. We got 23 minutes left. I think we did. We bounced up. We found resistance here, and now we're coming down. So we probably don't bounce. We did bounce here already. We bounced. We found resistance, and now we're down. So likely we keep going down. We'll probably go to the oversold zone. We haven't been to the oversold zone since that low, and on the 1 hour time frame, that's quite a lot of time that's passed. So we probably come down, get oversold. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we came down and found support at these prior areas of resistance here, right? Right there at prior areas. That's at 106.6K. Isn't that? I mean, that's right there at the 382. And then where is that in accordance to this? Hold on. Because maybe you go just below there even, high to low. Yeah, I guess from a price perspective, it would actually make a lot of sense to find support at 106.6K. And maybe you do. Maybe we do wick through the golden ratio but close above it. If you close below it and then the next candle you get above it, I guess you're saved. But typically if you close below the golden ratio, after a move like this, you get below it rather quickly, which within the same day, I think that's within a 24-hour period, I think that is rather quickly. You likely would go to the 382, which is all the way down at 104.6K. I don't know. I'm kind of at my wit's end here. I think we'll go somewhere between, I suppose I'm going to think 104.6 thousand to 106.6 thousand. Somewhere in that area there is where we're going to go to find support. And if we go lower, we can go from there. You know, we can talk about it after that. Let's see. 4-hour RSI looks immaculate. I wouldn't anticipate, especially with this kind of a reading, I wouldn't anticipate that we get into the oversold zone. We'd have to see more stuff happen first, right? Like the last time that you saw something that was above this RSI was over here. When you found support, it was down here at the 40 zone, very common area. I kind of expect that that's what's going to happen here. If not there, at least the 50 on the RSI. Both those kind of readings should produce a move that would take us down to this area, the exact area that we're looking for. So that makes sense. If we see something like this, where we find support here, but then we find resistance at the 60, that does open up the door to go lower and hit that oversold area, right? You can see here we found support, we went up, but we found resistance at prior support, so we kept going lower. If and when we go to the 50 or the 40 and we find support and we can't make it back up to the overbought zone, or at least above the 60 area here, if we can't make it to this zone, we will probably go lower than I'm talking about going, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm just talking about case scenarios here, and making a mess on the charts. Looking at this here at 108.7K, I very much do expect that Bitcoin is on the way to new all-time highs. I was actually looking at something on x.com here. Let me see. Let me go to my profile. I don't know if you guys follow Peter Brandt. He's a OG analyst. He's an old man. Seems like a good guy. Seems like he keeps it real. He's not. He seems like he's not emotional, but man, this guy, he's genuinely been bearish on like the world economy. He's been bearish on the markets for like 10 years. He's been predicting a grand recession, I feel like, since I started investing in the space. And no offense, Peter, you're going to be right at one of these points, right? Every dog has his day, but man, the thing is, we're in a full-fledged bull market right here, and he's trying to compare BTC to 2022. The thing is, and anybody like this, and again, I like Peter, I admire Peter, but I just think he's wrong. Anybody like this, what they're doing here is the same thing they were doing here. They're saying, oh, we got a double top. It's just like 2021, 2022. But now they're over here. Oh, we got now it's a double top. Now we have one top here and another top here. And then now that we're doing this, it's like, oh, it's a double top. It's just like 2022. No, there's no such thing as a 1, 2, 3 quadruple top. There's no such thing. And Peter knows this. Peter should know this. He's probably been doing analysis before I have, right? He should know this, right? There's no such thing as a quadruple top, and this kind of price action is actually very indicative that we will inevitably break through all-time highs. We're definitely not in a bear market. There's no way in hell. This is the strangest bear market I've ever seen. If Bitcoin's forming a bear market here, man, like this is. I mean, they'd really psych out the bulls if that's what happened, man. I've never seen a quadruple top in my life that persisted for a whole damn bear market. That doesn't exist, man. But I don't know. We'll see, man. Age and experience versus handsome, devilish good looks. I don't know. 108.6K. If we're looking at this from a high, all-time high, that was not the all-time high, but this is the low. All-time high, it was the all-time high. High to low right there. The expectation would be that we rather immediately move up to this area here. The fact that we broke out of all-time highs and then came back and found support at the 786 is actually really good, especially because we didn't go to the golden ratio. Even if you went all the way down there, that would still be good. But the higher up, the more bullish it is, right? So I think this is super bullish. I don't believe that we are. This alone makes me think we're not going to see lower prices. If we bounced off the 786 and we rejected the 886, okay, but we didn't. We got above the 886. We got above the 100 area. We got above that there, Not 100K, the 100 as in 100% of the retracement. The 1, we got above there. I don't expect us to go below this low. I think that we're really on a path. This whole endeavor, this maneuver that we just saw makes me think that we are on a path higher. We're probably going to see a similar move to this, but it's going to happen at a faster rate, right? Typically that second move, like if you're in a move up, right, you've got one move here and then you correct, that second move up tends to be faster and bigger. Tends to. Not always, but that's like 60, 70% of the time. That's kind of like how it is. Not always. Don't count on that. Don't think you know what you're talking about just because of that. You have to validate that you are moving up higher first before you can count on a second move, but I'm pretty confident we don't go below this low here. Even if we do, again, there's no such thing as a quadruple bottom. We can go down to the golden ratio and then we'll bounce from there. Or quadruple top, there's no such thing. So we could go down there and then find support, but I'm very much now doubting that we go down to 94, 96K, anything like that. The next area to consider would be something between 130 to 140K. If not there, we're going to continue going up to 150, 160, and ultimately I think by the end of July, sometime in July, you know, thinking about it like this, we moved up. Oh, come on. I would think that we're at 170 to 190K, somewhere in that area, probably closer to 180 than anything. If we look at this move, you know, from a low to a high, the second move typically is bigger, right? Because here's our move up, here's our first consolidation within this move. The next move, wave 3, should be one of the biggest waves, if not the biggest wave. And if this move was to be replicated, it would be the end of July, and we'd be right here at 150 to 160K. I don't think it's just going to be replicated. I think it's going to be extended upon. We're going to see that next fib level, and it's going to happen at a faster pace. So the fact that this actually lines up well with, and let me actually get this at the low. Let's put this like right there. I would say right now, in this kind of unorthodox fashion of analysis, I think we actually have a very suitable time frame here. I think that we will find our next high before July 20th, July 21st. We'll find our next, our all-time high, our next stopping point where we consolidate for like 6 weeks or so. Maybe 4 weeks, maybe 8 weeks, who knows? But like going into August, we'll probably consolidate, right? We'll find our high sometime before July 21st. It could be July 1st, it could be July 20th, but sometime before July 21st, we'll find it, and it will not likely be in this area. So if it's not here, where's the next fib area? 178K is that. The 2272, oftentimes you do not find resistance right at it. You actually do go a little bit through it and find resistance. So what's a little bit through 178K, 180K, 190K? Sometimes in odd situations where things are front ran, and I know it seems strange, this might be the first time you've heard of the 2272, but most people I feel like aren't aware of the 2272, but if you've been investing in Bitcoin, if you've been involved in the bull markets and in these crypto markets for multiple cycles now, you know that Bitcoin loves its 2272. It's shown respect on that 2272 so many times. I mean, hell, I think even right here, let's just see from a high to a low, didn't we show support at or resistance at the 2272? 2272 right there, and what you do, you went just above it. Like I'm telling you, Bitcoin loves its 2272. It really does. I need to keep that thought in mind, because I think I have an idea here for how far we'll pull back whenever we do correct up here. We're gonna get a little foresight going on here, because Bitcoin likes to do some foreshadowing of its future events too. We'll go over that, but typically, you know, you go just above that. So I think 180 probably is likely where we will go. And now I want to get onto the foreshadowing here. Okay, so hold on. So looking at this, all right, hold on. We'll just delete it all. We'll take this high. We're going to end the video right after this. So hit the like button, subscribe if you're on your way out. But I think that this is interesting right here. So you see the 2272, you went just above it. Like I was saying, this is actually very, very typical behavior. You don't find resistance right at it. You find resistance just above it. What's not typical is where you found support. I would at least have expected that you go to the 1618. But I think this is some foreshadowing. Within this move, you found resistance at your 2272, and you basically found support at your 1618, and now you're moving up. I'm going to theorize right now, and who knows if it's right, but I think that you're going to go up to your 2272, and you're going to do the same thing. I think that's a foreshadowing right there. I've seen it happen enough times that I wouldn't count on it. I'm not holding my breath over this, but beyond all of that, the fact that we just saw this is actually very common to do, is to find resistance just above the 2272 and move down to the golden ratio to find support and then move up. Sometimes you go lower, sometimes you do, but let's see how much of a drop that would be actually, percentage-wise. If it's like 20 to 30%, then that works out. 180, let's just say it's at 180. If it goes higher, the percentage will only be higher of a drop, and that's a 20. That's a pretty standard drop for this bull market, you guys. It's actually very. And what if we actually stop just a little bit above the golden ratio like we did here? 21% drop. That's actually closer to the average drop that we've seen. 21, 24, whatever. I bet we do, man. I'm going on some extreme foreshadowing here. We're gonna go to 180K before the 21st of July, probably in the middle of July. I'm most confident about that now. Late July, if not early July. And then we're going to pull back to about 138K, 140K, and then find support from there. And I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was August where we started to move up again. I think that July going into August will consolidate for maybe like 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe it's the end of August that we start to pump up again, but if not, sometime in September. But that'll be the time we start to rally again and move up to multi-$100,000 prices afterwards. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. I hope it all made sense. Take care. Bye-bye.